It's a WE win coming into game number 1. A WE win that looked pretty damn good by the end of it, with Mystic carrying the share. And here in the LPL, WE are on a tear. They're heading towards playoffs, heading towards the end of week 9, looking pretty damn good. My name's Sterex, this is Preacher, and after that game 1, Preacher, we've got to give MVP to Missing. Mystic, I'm kidding. But Mystic deserves it as well.
No, of course, yeah. It was a wonder duo of the bottom lane. However, Mystic pulling out in the end there, 9-3-5. It wasn't a game of miles, it was a game of inches. From the get-go, Caitlyn didn't really have a lot of kills in terms of priority into the bottom lane, but man, did she get a lot of safety for the turrets.
I mean, use the key word, she had priority in that bottom lane, and WE set themselves up for a big 2v2 matchup. They delivered. And even around this dragon, LGD looked out of sorts.
Everybody on WE wanted to donate their efforts towards Caitlyn. Take a look at that. Sejuani ult, no problem. Set it up for Mystic. Let Mystic get all of the resources.
This was missing. This was just good from Missing.
It was good from Missing to completely lock up Garvey, and even after that, the traps to disable her from dashing further for the extra kill onto Mystic. Very well played. That bottom lane definitely deserved the MVP.
And we just got to a point where Mystic ran away with Missing at his side constantly and was this unkillable machine. I mean, how do you kill a Caitlyn with Bloodthirster, with a Tarb Kedge? Look at this! It's ridiculous. He flashes out. Mystic's like, nah. Spits him back out. Mystic full health.
Yeah, easily a very good build for WE. Even in the mid game where Caitlyn generally has a power drop off, she didn't really drop off inside of that game. So it was very nice to see that WE are always pushing objectives, always sieging objectives as well. Never let go of the lead that they built for themselves.
Constantly big. So Mystic and Missing once again, you know, back at it. And it's good to see Mystic performing at his height, right? What we said coming into this matchup was that if beishang and Post are performing well, then it looks like the rest of WE fit in nicely. That game, I feel like it was just relying on the bottom lane and beishang as well, his tendency to visit.
Yeah, it was kind of a one-track mind whenever you draft a Caitlyn, right? You see, Caitlyn, what are we going to do? Obviously, we're going to prioritize bottom lane. Obviously, we're going to push in the turrets, get the plates, and then rinse and repeat in mid lane and the top lane as well. It's what WE wanted to execute on, and quite frankly speaking, it looked good. There was no reason why you have to deviate from it. We saw them defeat JDG when they met up in the very last week of the spring split, and that is how they played it out. It's a winning strategy.
Yeah, for WE, let's not forget that it was JDG who ran into them in spring playoffs as well. And because we're heading to playoffs once again, it's very relevant that we talk about where WE could fit, because if they can keep running through to LGD, or past LGD I should say, Rogue Warriors, V5, this is the WE that I once again believe in, even if they are that 7th or 8th seed.
That's what we need to look for. The roll down as well. Their last matchup was IG, and that was the hardest one by far. Now into LGD, RW, and also V5. They've got a very good run, and right now they're sitting at 5 and 7. If they defeat this next and the one after as well, they'll be sitting at 8 and 7. Great numbers to have.
Listen to the xiye music. They have the best soundtrack out of any stadium here in the LPL. That is intense. It tells you WE aren't letting up, and it tells you that they're coming into Game 2 as fiery as they were in Game 1.
They have the Big Bad Boss soundtrack. Kind of reminds me of Metroid in the older plays. But yeah, now WE is going to be the Big Bad Boss. Of course, this is their home stadium, and they just took out the first game.
Now, of course, for WE, for those wondering, as we head towards playoffs, in spring they finished 10-5. That is not possible here in this split, but the max they can finish on is 8. Which still in the past, you know, was the bridge, was the gap between playoffs. It was the score that BLG finished off in spring, but were unable to obtain playoffs. This time around, we have a larger tie, and that's why I'm excited for the prospect of WE hitting that mark.
Yeah, we saw it before. Only 5 teams are locked in terms of whether they're going to playoffs or whether they're eliminated, so a lot is still up left standing. More than 10 teams still could go either way. Once again, we highlighted the fact that it was LGD's last chance within this game, but WE rolling further and further ahead.
2-8 for LGD. Their last stand was against WE, and Game 1 didn't feel like a last stand. It didn't look like it. LGD look out of sorts. They look like a team that need time once again with their new jungler Buddyman. I mean, Condi was just such a big vital part of LGD. With Kramer, like Kramer's an absolute god in the AD carry position. So then you look at it and you go, what is LGD going to look like in the future?
Yeah, it kind of dropped off for them, especially in the execution of the early part of the game. You saw that Kramer. Man, those puppets.
It's scared.
They got him.
Scared of the camera scared.
Going back to the point though, Sterex, a little bit of normalcy here. Kramer, His role on the team is obviously to get the priority and put the damage down. Inside of that last game in the draft phase, we saw the Sivir, to counter pick the Caitlyn, because of course you want the wave clear in the early game to deny away her ability to get the turret plates. Did not work out. In the end, rotated her away. The drafts are good. They just need to call where they distribute their players.
I'll take another level of that as well. It depends on Buddyman and the execution you're talking about there, especially for the Gragas going towards the bottom side, but Mystic and Missing just played it so darn well. And that's why it's hard for LGD. That's why I came back to the point of what does this roster look like in the future? Because right now, it's a bit back and forth. They need a strong jungler, and they've obviously been looking for that. With Quay coming into the roster to replace the void of Condi, with the change around, and you're like, okay, who is going to be the mainstay jungler? They're sticking with Buddyman, and Buddyman is what looks like the future, but right now just needs to put a good performance in.
He has good game sense. He wanted to visit bot because it was constantly being pushed towards his turret. There were good avenues to gank, but he just overstayed. So let's see if he can just tighten that up.
Let's go into the Matrix, into game 2. LGD, WE, LGD will be blue side here. No roster changes, so LGD looking to bring that same jungler in and trying to make an impact in this second game.
More importantly, the Qiyana ban away from xiye. We were talking about xiye being the most played Qiyana inside of the LPL, so obviously don't want to deal with that coming into the first game. One of the champions that's still up available for WE is Caitlyn. Worked out so well in the first game and not banned away.
And that's a Karma first pick up here. Still a big pick in the LPL, still the triple flex we expect it to be. We have not seen the old reckless Karma AD carry position just yet, but anything's to go here for LGD.
More importantly, though, there is also the option of picking up a Sylas. And when you take a look at Sylas, he's been flexed into the solo lanes once again because of his change up on 9.14. Talk about it a little bit later, but they don't want to deviate from their original strategy. Instead, they just want to deny this away.
Remember, beishang plays a lot of it. It's also been the take into Sejuani. So let's see if beishang's willing to face off, because the Sejuani available, he loses his Olaf once more. And another safe pick for the jungler of WE.
Safe picks, not a problem at all. And more importantly, now we've got to see where this sets up, because usually when we see Sejuani's, we see heavy melee in both top and bottom lane. If we see a melee matchup in the top side, that's naturally where WE will want to progress towards.
Post on something that can carry. Renekton's still available that we can look into the second phase. LGD thinking about a jungler here. The Corki was locked in very early from WE, so Yuuki can try and rinse and repeat this, but it was only those first 5 minutes we looked towards, praised him with the CS lead. From there, he fell by the wayside and could only pick up that one fight.
Not bad, and I have to say, Tristana was not one of the losing elements of LGD, especially into the Corki as well. We saw she denied away the Sheen first back, she denied away any real good back away, so it was a great pickup.
Not often we see the Skarner in the LPL though. The person I think of when I think Skarner, I go, well, beishang played it in spring. There's a lot of other junglers that come through, but Buddyman making his debut.
Yeah, and the biggest problem with Skarner is, of course, the fact that he has no dash, but with the extra spies and the fact that you've now drafted Kramer as well, he is so well enabled in the mid game. He can pretty much find any picks that he wants, especially with Flash. Another downside to WE is the fact that they now have to pay the Skarner tax in the QSS, and more importantly, that Karma's just going to be enabling this Scorpion over and over.
I mean, really, the speed that's already been set up with the Karma and the Skarner, you're right. There's going to be quick movement here from the side of LGD as WE defensive maneuver in the double glacial. Brom gets picked up here for missing. Now it's about what gets paired with it.
Yeah, so now they have to take a look at denying away ADCs. I'm actually quite surprised. I mean, the Renekton is a good ban away, but still, you got to keep at the forefront of your mind. That Caitlyn won MVP, and Mystic is a very good Caitlyn. So if you don't take it away from him, you would have to expect that is the immediate pickup from WE.
He is, but this time with the Brom, let's see how it gets paired. Because right now, you don't know what the AD carry is. And Mystic felt so confident taking it down there because they knew the matchup, they knew what they were going into. This time it's going to be different. Double AD carry ban here from WE. Aatrox follows suit. They look for a safe option straight out of the face.
Looking towards more later in the game as opposed to the early game, WE can play either way. Immediately now, you have to say, the only thing left for WE's draft should actually be a dominant top side, because without that they don't have a lot of bridges towards the mid game to even get them towards the scaling capability. So early game all around for WE should be prioritized there.
Oh, people like Uzi have considered this a counter towards a Kai'Sa back when Kai'Sa ran into the LPL. So the Vayne, the Condemned to push back, negate the matchup really. That's a big move here from Kramer in game 2.
Yeah, more importantly, it's going to be a great lane to focus on for the Skarner because it's going to be close quarters relatively, and you can always run into Mystic even in the early game.
Are we going to get a solo lane Silas? Aurelia, okay, I still take that.
Again.
So Karma's going to be going to the support for PYL.
Yeah, and now this is going to be the tricky situation. I mean, there is still the Kled that has been buffed on this patch, but Post hasn't shown his hand on it too much. He can, of course, go for something like the Scion to negate the top lane, but then again, you don't really have that early game bridging tool to allow your team to get to the mid game.
I mean, you mentioned the Scion there. The Gangplank from game 1 is also a big option here for Post. 5 seconds and it'll be Gangplank once again.
I'll hold my reservations, Hysterics. I'm not a huge fan just because it doesn't enable too much early on, but we have to see where they focus. One nice thing about the Gangplank, though, is the fact that Sejuani will be set up nicely to gank that lane. Of course, the Permafrost can proc from his melee attacks as well as his Q, so it's a nice little synergy between the jungle and the top.
Remember, if we're talking about the bottom lane and how Post can influence it, it's once again that level 6. It's the triple TP team that is set up here for WE. They can dive bottom lane, and with Gangplank hitting level 6, with Mystic doing the same, there's a lot of lockdown, there's a lot of early damage that can be available, and a 4-man dive bot.
Yeah, but in the race to 6, it looks like LGD's roster can once again completely disrupt the situation. It looks as if they've got much more of an early game even before level 6. Nice little matchups inside of the lanes themselves, so it looks once again scaled towards LGD if they can execute it.
And we're once again heading inside the Matrix. The music builds up, the tempo's there, and Post on your screen. Had a decent enough game number 1. Having a quick look at Garvey, the newest member on this team, and it's rock and roll out of these legends in the top lane.
Yeah, I can't even fault him in the first game at all. His Irelia looked really solid. The later distribution of where they set the characters was less than stellar from LGD. Let's see if he can get more attention in the second game.
Especially with the same matchup once again. Aurelia versus Gangplank, a matchup that the GP, eventually you hit that 3, you hit that 4, and it depends on the flawless duet. The matchup can be volatile, but Post has played so much Gangplank, he's happy to fall a little bit behind and set himself up for the mid game.
Win lane, win game, it predicates on winning lane as well. So now LGD, that is their task.
Win lane, win game is winning lane. Preacher, I like that, but I hate it at the same time. Let's get into game 2. In Shan, WE lost their drums. LGD took them, and I tell you what, if WE win this series, I think LGD should give them back. Yeah, you tried. You did try.
I mean, it's not even troll at this point. If you just keep on chanting LGD, it's the team that's playing.
It's not even LGD, it's TSM. Someone I think did Cloud9. Who knows? Who knows? Our audience, they love it. It's an exciting day as we return to Summoner's Rift amidst what I think is going to be a very different pace. Bodyman on the Scorpion this time around, going up against beishang Sejuani once again.
Great synergy down onto the bottom side, but of course missing can always disengage that. If you can get a good Q off, you can always stop the Skarner in his tracks. And another important thing to note on LGD's side is the fact that while they have gone for very good lanes, they've gone for combat summoners. So Ignite in the mid lane and heal down onto the bottom side. Yep. Only one TP onto the team could be risky.
Oh, but Kramer, will he have to burn that summoner before we even begin?
Oh, he knows something's up.
Mystic and missing, not in the lane just yet. Yeah, they pop out. Kramer played that very well, very safe. It matters because remember, you saw that the Sejuani was topside with a great red place forward, meaning that the bottom side isn't leashing, they're hiding somewhere. So you put 2 and 2 together and Kramer works it out nicely.
Yep, don't want to be cheesed by that. And also, more to the point, it was way too early in the lane. So, of course, Kramer loses that nothing for waiting. And it's a very good call.
Colonel having a quick look at the scaling here. If anyone's wondering, it's about what composition looks to scale better, what happens at time in the game. Favor towards WE in this game pretty much wholeheartedly. And that makes sense. If they can make their way out of these lanes, if the Corki, the Gangplank, and the Kai'Sa all get through pretty much unscathed, then you get a team fight like no other.
That is the key, though, Hysterics. Of course, that graph only drops off at 5 minutes, which is pretty much the time in which they start to get to their level 6 ultimates. So before then, is the time for LGD to strike. They've got 3 lanes that really do favor them before they all meet up into multiple man conflicts. Let's see if they can play towards it this time.
Thank you so much for the leash, says beishang, though, as he picks up blue, spotted out, clears the ward. So they've had trackings on him this whole game. Bartyman going to feel pretty confident going towards the bottom side, doing the full clear, the Predator clear that is, picking up boots to enable the first gank and move towards the top side where Scuttlecrab will be spawning in 10.
Yeah, beishang knew that he could do more aggressive clear than he's normally done. Usually Sejuani's like to clear one side of the map and then go into a lane, but because he's into a Skarner, he knows that Skarner's not going to be interrupting anywhere on the map, so very easy for the Sejuani to match the fun.
Also remember as well that he was spotted out and beishang is level 4. That's a big reach as he picks up the Scuttlecrab towards the bottom side. And you speak about lanes, this is where WE want to go. It was all about the bottom side, all about the flash, missing commits. beishang's here, Arctic Assault into the flail. Oh. Now it's up to PYL. They get the Winter's Bite. They're looking for the Permafrost, but it's just PYL who takes the damage on the way out.
Yeah, and a return as well. LGD played that really well, especially Kramer using his Q, saving it, and then finally dodging out beishang means that this Vayne is going to be healthy. The name of the game for the bottom lane of LGD isn't just to survive it, but it's actually to survive it with as much HP as possible, so you deter people from WE from ganking.
And in that play, there was a double flash burn here from LGD, so it is repeat gankable. Missing burnt his own, which means Mystic still has his own flash. So beishang, expect him to come back down to the bottom lane, but Ping's going topside as Battyman has been tracking him all game long, now drops another control wall.
Very strong vision game coming out from LGD. They don't want to enable beishang to race to 6, and it is a very comfortable journey so far, but he's only level 4, so still a couple more.
Oh, great timing here. Battyman hasn't spotted him out onto post, the orange available. beishang coming in as a counteractive effort. I love that. beishang, right place, right time.
And as soon as Battyman saw that, he knew that he wasn't going to gank post.
True.
He just wanted to walk straight through and get away from the Sejuani. So it's going to be disabled. And when you take a look at the effect of that and you actually see how the two junglers are matching up, Battyman slightly up in CS means that he wants to make an influence.
Orange not available. Massive wave pushing against the turret. Nascana was ready and primed to make something happen, but CS lead once again for the Aurelia. Garve gets the wave, picks up level 5, and can back safely here with what looks to be maybe a phage in this first back with boots.
Keep your eyes onto that control ward that's inside of WE's jungle, because that's going to be spotting out beishang. Once again, he's probably going to go back to his red before he gets to that level 6. Always race to 6 when we talk about Sejuani versus the Skarner as well. So this is going to be key in LGD actually stopping their lanes from getting behind.
Yeah, didn't expect the control ward so deep into that red side. So really well done from Battyman. The ward not cleared, going to pay for itself. And with an Infernal Dragon up, you know that, okay, he's cleared, he's gone to Raptors. Next pathway is towards the bottom side where Infernal Dragon is waiting. Yeah,
meanwhile, beishang is still jungling. However, Battyman is looking for a good avenue into the lane.
Has the brush available with no wards. Battyman can just walk in and wait for WE.
Also could started to clear out the brushes so he knows there's no vision. WE have no idea.
Well, the pings are going down, Preacher, so maybe more than we think. Sejuani's there toward the Infernal. As pings are once again going down. Control ward in the brush. And there's a ward in front of the Dragon Pit that has once again spotted him out. Props to LGD in this game too. Their vision has been on point. beishang has been spotted out 99% of this early game.
They knew that beishang was the MVP to watch out for, and disabling him from entering any lane has worked out very well. WE haven't been able to make it, and even if they get to their level 6, you should happen to expect that Sejuani is going to be around and just walk out from any fight.
Just cleared out another camp, not level 6, but still ready to go in. Over the blast cone, no worries.
No wards actually saw her on the bottom side, and because of that control ward, they don't know she's there either. This is completely blind from LGD.
They have to walk into the lane. Look at the freeze here. Annoying. If you're the bottom lane of LGD, beishang's coming in. The Mantra Inspires there to lock down beishang. The Arctic Assault disengages as Battyman was spotted on a ward coming down. So great shield here from PYL, and Battyman now walks into the brush.
Yeah, so he just wanted to match in case Sejuani went for a fight, but watch for Kramer's positioning within this lane hysterics. He's always walking downwards and allowing PYL to walk upwards. That way, if beishang ever arrives, PYL will be the person to take the grunt of the CC, and he will always be able to walk out. It's going to be protect the President, and Kramer is very well alive.
Oh, I mean, the President's hitting hard if you want to talk about Kramer. Launches into the Kaiser, and although this lane is down in CS, it could be soon to change as Battyman has started up the Dragon on a ward of WE. beishang is waiting.
That is very bold. beishang is there, and bottom lane, early rotation goes to LGD.
But beishang does not have level 6. This is going to require a steal. Arctic Assault available, Cannon Barrage is in, beishang walks in, Spike goes down, but it's over to LGD. As xiye comes in, Yuuki looks for the turn, the flash is there from Buddyman, double flashes xiye over the wall, and the disengage. LGD with the Infernal Dragon to kick off game 2.
Yeah, you mentioned it, the level disparity, it really hit beishang hard, and more to the point, it also gives extra smite damage, so pretty much guaranteed over to Bademan, and they pick up that first strike. It's an Infernal, and it's very important for LGD. We were talking about win lane, win game, and right now with that Infernal, they're looking in place to do so.
Double Infernal in this game, Preachers, so although you talk about win lane, win game, I mean, you get to those fights, you get to the Aurelia Tristana once again, and you say, hey, that's a dragon you can get behind. Only this time it's worse than game 1. LGD off to a much better start.
Looking great for LGD. They just need to play it passive and play it safe. Check in with their players at the moment. A 10 CS advantage to Garvey because we knew that this lane went well for him. Now he's going to have a little bit of attention paid from WE, but still, the fact that this Aurelia is ahead into post means that he's going to be doing some effort as soon as he gets to his Triforce, which, because of the CS, should be earlier.
Same as game 1, right? The lead from Garvey in the earlier parts of this lane, post just pacing it out with jungle interference at the ready, as beishang is now level 6 in that top side and is re-clearing, is going back towards his red, and he spots out the ward, he clears that too. So this is an early game. You're right, LGD much better, but for WE, it's not like anything's changed. They've still got resources available they can utilize.
Well, I'd actually disagree. A lot has changed from WE, especially the way that they want to play. Before, they wanted to play completely early game, completely bot side, and make sure that Mystic had a great time hitting those turrets with the Caitlyn. But this game, with the Kaiser, they want to play much slower and wait until Mystic gets to the item power spike, which into Kramer, while it is a difficult lane, is not impossible to do.
No, which is very fair. 10 CS lead already there for Mystic. He's hit level 6 himself. Killer Instinct available. And it's going to be the Storm Razors start. So I know over in the LEC there's a big discussion with Papa Smithy over the weekend and in one of the games talking about what the itemization was and what Kaiser's look to do these days. We've seen a lot of Manamune, but this time seeing the Storm Razors, the early spike, the ability to team fight earlier with the supercharger is what WE are looking for.
Yeah, they don't want to go towards the tier because the one advantage that tier provides is that you can spam your Q for wave clear into a wave clear heavy ADC, like for instance a Sivir or a Caitlyn. But because he's into Kramer, who just cannot clear these waves under any condition, means that he can actually go for these aggressive items very early on.
Also fits in with WE and that 2-item spike that people talk about with Corky, with the Gangplank. And Zaya's going to be no exception as LGD on the other side of the map. They're sick of me talking, they're looking towards the Rift Herald.
Fruits of the labor. They get the vision down, and because of that, they know exactly where beishang is. They know that there's no contest available. It's effectively a free Rift Herald, and because this is so early on, and it's also without any contest as well, LGD are in prime position to get some turret plates.
Really good positioning from Buddyman in this game, and it comes back to what I said earlier, is that the vision control's been huge, and the fact is that the control that's come through has locked out WE from part of this early game. That's going to be Rift Herald. Bottom lane's the push here in response.
Bully post, because he is a Gangplank and he cannot clear out these waves. However, being traded by beishang.
Oh, the ult comes through, the flash immediately from PYL. Good condemn into the wall, but Kramer now has ult on the final hour, it seems. The ult comes through and the flash from Kramer too. Underneath the turret, they've taken too many. Mystic is going to take silver balls. 1, 2, and 3, but Kramer walks back in, only to die. First blood over to WE, while Post tries not to get solo killed on the turret. He walks away, almost does it, but Garvey survives, and Rift Herald still there to batter down the turret.
Almost a series of game number 1 as well. We see the solo kill on the top side, but that was so well played by WE on the bottom side of the map. beishang actually positioned his ultimate really well. Even though he didn't hit PYL, the one thing that he did was zone Kramer. Kramer couldn't move backwards, he had to move towards his turret.
But although the kill goes down, big win for LGD. Top turret's going to drop first, and xiye just trying to pick up some turrets to even out the gold, but damage done here. Garvey in an even better position with his gold in this second game.
Yeah, LGD listen to Sterix. They're actually changing up their strategy, no longer focusing on their ADC. They want to give resources to the person who actually got the kills. This is the ulti I was looking for. Didn't hit PYL, but take a look at Kramer. Zoned out from moving backwards, has to move towards his turret. Very well played to live this long, but ultimately against 3 people in early game Vayne, cannot outplay this.
I mean, that was half a second off getting that silver bolt. Maybe it'd be different, maybe it wouldn't, but at the end of the day, for LGD, they may lose their 80 carry, but this was nicely done.
And now I just want to see if LGD can actually return to their form. There's a solo kill on the post, just like in game number 1. Let's see if they actually prioritize Garvey this time.
Of course, not quite solo, but Post played that very well as he could have. Some really good mechanics from the solo laner of WE, but losing out now has to deal with the gangplank. And speaking of the two solo laners, they're moving across the map. This is very proactive here from WE to set themselves up for the second Infernal.
Starting to move around the objectives, Hysterics. And now you've got to check out for the vision as well, because it's actually slightly swinging towards WE, at least for this Drake. While they were going for the Scuttle Rift Health and also the early turret on the top side, you saw that beishang was clearing out wards bot and also getting control over the spires, so they managed to get this from the fruits. However, it took a very long time.
Oh man, denies the double Infernal, and now there's a third one coming up.
They knew. The RNG gods knew that we actually needed some action inside of this game because it is a very late scaling comp for both of these two teams.
Man, we got so much action in game one. What are you worried about?
Well, the drafts, because they're scaled to, they're tipped towards the later part of the game. So
I get you.
It's nice that we can actually see some Dragon priority.
Yeah, that's true. And good that WE can deny it once again from LGD as for the solo lane, Garvey moving to the mid lane here with xiye and package available. Looks like LGD are making a play, and they're committing everyone to the bottom side, but I'm not sure what the end result is here.
They just want to disable.
Okay. There you go.
Yep. All right. I mean, it was timing out, so of course they needed to. Interesting that they actually moved Garvey towards the mid lane. Of course his lane isn't there, and he doesn't want to be caught out like he was 100 times in game number 1.
Post does get a free shove on the top lane too, so this is to take note. Even though he got no turret plating, the gangplank is still farming up, is still getting the extra stacks of gold, and LGD looking for something in the bottom side is going to be difficult because WE have an inkling something's up.
I mean, they see it.
Don't take that blast cone though, unless you see this guy flashing over the wall, the impale there, and missing's going to be caught out. Nicely done, commitment from LGD.
Yeah, and WE actually didn't know that LGD knew. They were over on the other side.
They didn't know that LGD knew.
Yeah, because
oh
LGD had the...
So they knew that they didn't know that they didn't know.
No, they didn't, because they got outplayed.
Oh, so they did know that they didn't know.
No, they did. WE did not know that they were being spotted out.
But
that's what I'm trying to say.
Did LGD know?
That WE didn't know?
Yeah,
because of course.
Now we're getting
Take
somewhere.
a look at that. Of course, when you sweep them out, it doesn't actually give any information over to WE, so they knew that there were two members over on the other side.
Okay.
Send your tankiest member, pull him out, bish bash bosh.
Yeah, now I know, right? Garvey actually going to be not contesting with the 1v1. There's a Sejuani coming in, Gangplank sends the barrage downward, the Vanguard's dead. Garvey looking for the outplay, but the Permafrost double stun up, Post survives for now, but the burn! Garvey takes him down and he heals! He's done one! He's looking for a second! Garvey, you are dirty!
What an outplay coming out from Garvey. That's what we wanted to see in game number 1. Now in game number 2, his Irelia is starting to pay off, and it is paying off hard for LGD.
He stacked up the Conquerors, and you think something like this could happen, but CC was so well placed by WE.
And he plays through the entire GP ultimate as well. He knows that Post is very squishy, uses his Q, and actually the auto was the thing that killed him. Forces beishang to actually flash out of that. What a madman, combined between his passive and Conquerors as well, healing up throughout all the damage.
This is why I said the top lane matchup was exciting, because Garvey looks like he's a mechanical genius, and in that play, Aurelia doing Aurelia things will heighten that even more. LGD back to gold even, as the bottom lane looks to fight each other, and Kramer in a very good position. The teleport is coming in. Look at the Skarner as well. LGD have backup there as WE lose their support immediately, but Corky burns down the AD carry. PRL running away with the Impale onto the mid lane, and xiye flashes away, but not in time. Tristana finds a kill, and the barrels aren't doing enough damage. LGD have won this fight wholehandedly, and Garvey's now joining in.
That was so dirty from LGD as well. They bait it backwards until there's one minion ahead, and then Garvey TPs to that minion, completely cuts off WE from ever making a fight.
And they're going to get another turret. They're going to set up for the reset that'll come through with the Infernal Dragon in 1 minute 20. LGD have recovered in this second game so nicely.
Yeah, and because we saw that LGD was playing very heavily towards warding in the early game, we should expect them to put down more. But check this out. Uses the bait to pull them forward, and of course Kramer is the sacrificial lamb. But then there's the teleport on their side. Garvey's coming in 2-0 Irelia. There is no way the WE could ever fight this, and that is just the power of Tristana in the early game with fully stacked Eve.
Great dodge from Kramer at the start, though. At the start of that play, dodging away from the Brom ult means he survives that extra couple of seconds, and xiye has to commit forward. So, individual plays here from LGD in game number 2, and now Tristana picks up a kill, and Garvey gets a little bit more gold under his belt. LGD have their lane set up here quite nicely.
5-2. And you can already see the fruits of exactly what they wanted to do. Once again, it is all down to the fact that LGD know where WE is going. LGD want to disengage everything or just outplay it, and every single time it's worked towards them.
You talk about what they want to do. Right now, LGD want to set up for this Infernal Dragon. Heading down, they had the vision control. Gangplank has the wave set up bottom side, though, so for LGD, they have to forcefully push their way towards the Dragon in 10 seconds.
Yeah, they're just trying to clear out, and it's very hard with the Vayne, but they're still just trying to put down pressure mid just so they can move.
But the hardest part is Corki now has package, so for WE, they want to take this fight.
However, take a look.
Glacial Prison, it's early though from beishang. What is the follow-up? xiye now coming in, the flash away from Kramer into the final hour. Great condemn on the side. The Gangplank ulti is whiffed to the wing. LGD might actually like this because WE now burning a lot.
Yeah, they had to burn a very impactful GP ultimate, but WE have the inside track. They're moving towards mid.
They do, so maybe they can find mid lane turret, maybe they can still find the engage. LGD regroup, but they're healing back up, and now the Infernal for WE is hot topic.
Scryer's Orb as well, just to make sure that LGD cannot move in. This is completely dominated by WE.
You need a Vanguard's Edge from Garvey to find this fight. Yuuki still at full health as well, but Infernal Dragon's going down. Garvey
there it is.
With the flank, I said. He hits 3 with just the tip on the side. A 2-man falls short, but he can't find Mystic. Close call of xiye sacrifices his life as well. WE, that came close to getting blown out of the water.
Hysterics, that wasn't one fight, that was 2 fights where it was 1v4 on both sides, but they want more. LGD are not stopping.
I'll correct myself, xiye was the one to live. It was Mystic dying, but Mystic, his 80 carry, is under pressure. Look at him. Let him live. Yep, Post gets out alive too. And Mystic might just want to die to the turret.
Yeah, execute.
Goodbye. Play it. Play the flute.
That was the best case scenario for them, but still, when you take a look, after everything is said and done, WE, not too bad, given that they're in a bad position in the early game.
Picking up a double Infernal. It means that 1,000 gold over to LGD doesn't really feel like that much at this point, especially with the Trinity Force, the QSS tax we talked about. That extra bit of damage is going to come in nicely for this side.
Yeah, when we check in with the builds to make sure how they're going, Storm Raze is completed for Mystic, whereas Blade the Ruined King for Kramer should be better now that the Vayne has some time to go back towards his base. But everything else is just so damn close, and the only real difference between the two teams is, of course, that extra Infernal Drake.
I just bet you beishang this game is going to hate life. So is Missing, because think about it realistically. You've got a Conqueror Aurelia top mixed with double Blade of the Ruined King, 80 carries on LGD. They're going to shred through the health of beishang.
What is a tank line, and why does it not exist for LGD? They're going to be absolutely punished in terms of team fights.
And then you get to the carries, beishang. Yep, thank you for the leash, good sir. He's actually ahead by still 25 CS over the Skarner. So beishang once again farming well here in game number 2.
Yeah, I actually like...
No. What is he doing there? Second game in a row where he's been caught out at crucial moments. The flash forward here from beishang. He misses the ult. The big old X-Methi down the mid lane, and beishang will help get the turret in the end.
Zoning ultimate. Gets them off the turret, make sure that they can actually get the ult. I actually like the position for beishang's ult. Both of those 2 times, I mean, once in the bottom lane and now in the mid lane as well, make sure that Kramer can't actually be anywhere useful.
But I like this again. WE pick up the mid lane turret. They open up the map once more. xiye going to move to this top side and pick up the turret, the minion wave, himself. But a long mid lane now to play through. One where WE can get the vision towards the Baron, where they can play with the Corki package a little bit more. WE is set up again to play their cards around this next objective.
Look, I'm actually going to zoom into beishang as well and give him praise because
you don't have control.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about him. I have control over my voice, Hysterics.
Okay.
And right now, he is playing this Sejuani very well. He knows that his job is primarily to keep Kramer out because there is only a finite amount of time that Vayne can actually be hitting because of his short range. And the fact that beishang uses ultimates so that the AoE can always keep the Vayne out, very good play.
But he still has Arctic Assault, which he jumps in, and beishang at half health. The final hour pop. Mystic in a lot of troubles. Look at Kramer. He's tumbling. He's turning. The pull in, and they're all burning. Kramer's still alive. Stops the Vayne as the Glacial Fissure has to come down on the Vanguard's edge. It's Garvey again. Opposite towards his name. Now, xiye may have brought it back, but Garvey getting the force duet once more. Yuuki joining the fight. It's all over Red Rover as a triple goes to this top laner.
Cast a curse. As soon as we praise beishang, he gets taken down, goes way too forward, and Kramer just gets so many silver bolts down into that tank.
Post the only one to survive, clearing out the mid wave. Maybe he can mitigate the losses, but the resources and the kills going on the Aurelia and the Tristana this time very strong win condition set up.
Once again, a good play. beishang goes in, but none of the rest of WE actually know that they're going forward. Take a look at Mystic. He's frontlining for his team. Now, beishang is the person to be locked up, combined between Bademan's ultimate and just the damage. However, the return down onto the vein was very good.
I mean, it was Garvey that cleaned up the rest of that fight. It was the xiye was on a tear, and the Aurelia brought that back. So.
And the important thing is also just take a look at where those kills go towards. Once again, over to the Aurelia. This is a game for the books for Garvey.
Titanic Hydra, second item picked up here. There's no Ravenous. You're going to be that front line. You're going to be the initiator, and yes, you're going to be doing the damage. Alongside Kramer, who kicked off that fight, and my word, the Vayne is already scary too.
That front line also just looks so scary, Hysterics. We've seen time and time again this specific Aurelia get a really great ultimate angle for an ultimate, to the point where you could dash onto the front line and then dash onto the back line of WE. So WE need to stop clumping if they want to play against Garvey's Fed Aurelia.
But also they can't be picked off here. Remember that Bademan has Impale, level 12 Scorpion with Righteous Glory and Predator. This is how they set up. They get that pick, and then they take the fight whole-handedly. So LGD, the ability to split apart WE is so good at this point as they're heading towards that mountain and still around the mid lane where Baron could be the option.
Yeah, and it's great to see that Bademan's using his ultimate, even though the QSS tax is being paid by WE. How do you do it? By hitting somebody who doesn't have a QSS, and that was beishang in the last fight. Managed to pull back to Sejuani. You get your advantages slowly, and it's always working out.
Let's have a quick look though, because package using the mid lane, Bademan pops the Predator once again. Righteous Glory is available. Big poke though onto Kramer. xiye, he's a big dog too. And that's where the scare factor comes in with the Infinity Edge and the QSS in hand.
Yeah, LGD had just pegged in, but
Bademan trying to do it again. Really good slow here onto the Scorpion. And that's a big ult that, okay, that one was a big ult that whiffed. And that's not good. Yuuki actually jumping in onto beishang. 4 members of WE to the side, while Post with Flash and Teleport just hitting off the wayside.
Yeah, don't do that, Yuuki. But more to the point, it was great disengage from missing. That's exactly what we wanted to see from the Braum. All you need to do is hit the Q, and no matter how much speed Bademan has, it's always going to be just outside range.
But at least you can look at that play and say, yep, WE going to back off, so we get the Mountain Dragon. For a team that has a double AD carry and a double Mountain on the horizon, Baron is now this fearsome objective that WE have to play against.
This is the greatest mix of dragons that we've seen so far, Hysterics, and right now it is working out because LGD needs some pressure point for WE to fight them, and this is looking great because these Drakes are so important. The Baron is so important for this team because they don't have that much innate siege built inside of their comp, and WE must press forward.
It's the composition that right now with double Mountain could tear through the Baron, as we're mentioning, but also break that deadlock. This game is dead even in gold. There's 2 dragons apiece, and granted, the double Infernal looks nice here for WE. Might actually help with the solo kill as Garvey underneath the Catabarrage took a lot of it. The Gangplank fires out a shot once again, but Post knows that's it. Garvey has to back off, and hits an orange and walks away steadily.
Damn, this is the Gangplank that's just been farming, and we weren't really checking in with the GP, but 215 CS while still below the Aurelia is enough to poke her out. If Garvey's not actually hitting Post, working out for the GP.
There's a big rotation here from WE. Remember, Mystic and Post both have TP, so WE aren't scared. Even if Baron gets started up, they can join the fight.
And right now, Baron is being started. beishang has just cleared that ward.
Yep, over to the side. He's going to get spotted out. Double TP now for WE committing in for 5-man. 3K on the Baron. They pull off. That was dangerous.
Yeah, WE disengage it by getting some vision advantage for themselves. Now LGD need to back out completely. PYL is very far out.
They really want to cut them off. PYL won't be caught out, of course, but WE have the inner track and that Baron play for LGD. That actually might disadvantage, but they're going to back away in the end. WE clearing out vision. Look at this. Back timings here from LGD. They've given up completely, and now the flank, the sneaky brush from WE.
Garvey is on the bottom side, Hysterics, but he does have teleport, so it's not the worst case scenario for LGD. WE know that they cannot start the Baron.
So they're going to clear out the mid lane instead. I thought they're going to wait in a brush, just wait for something. Kramer, I'm not sure if he was spotted backing away, but doesn't look like that's the case. And everything goes back to being neutral.
We say that it's going back to being neutral, Hysterics, but we just saw what happens when you put the Gangplank in a 1v1 against the Aurelia. Garvey actually lost out that 1v1, had to burn the stopwatch, and now Post is looking stronger than ever. Despite the fact that he is actually down in both CS and kills, he is really making a name for himself in this game.
Down half a level as well, but it's Hysterics Gauge you're mentioning that The 1v1 potential is there as beishang walking blind in the rush, almost gets caught out the flash from bodyman. It's just cleansed away. That's too easy as Yuuki looking to escape as well, but Mystic has the ultimate available, doesn't want to burn it just yet. xiye walking forward, and the Pelican Dog makes things look great.
That was immediate as well, so he pretty much didn't pull anybody any distance.
I'll take it back. I don't see the QSS burn there, but I want to see the replay there from Bodyman. It looks like the ult wasn't even used.
Oh man, he didn't even tap it. That is the worst case scenario when you flash in, when you've got the Karma E as well. Now you don't even have your life.
Curious as to what happened. We'll have a quick look in the replay, but now the Baron begins here for WE and Kramer walking down the side. The cannon barrage. Gangplank was taking the 1v2, but the final out from Kramer. Ult there from Mystic as well. Mystic joins the fight, and a good force duet, but the thing is, Mystic wants to take the damage. He'll die as Baron is still not taken.
WE, get off the Baron.
They need to pick a fight. It's on to Garvey as a 3-man force duet once again, but Yuuki's firing away. Double 80 carry. He does the damage onto Mystic. Yuuki now runs away with the rocket jump. They'll stop the Baron, and that was sloppy.
Yeah, WE just didn't even respond to the fact that Missy was being chipped down by Garvey, eventually taken down, and it takes Garvey jumping right into the middle of their team for them to actually disengage from it. Not even to half HP. You got to ask, what was WE doing? But Garvey overcommits himself.
Now the replay needed here. I think this should be a game of replays as we hit 20 kills in 28 minutes. We hit WE with a gold lead, but no Baron in hand. The objective stays up, and LGD stay alive in this series.
WE is just tunneling onto some things that they really shouldn't be, especially given that that last fight was so winnable for them. If they just turned before Missing actually died, but that is all in the past. What is happening right now is that LGD, they have now disabled the Baron, and once again, Vision will be the name of the game.
See if Bodyman can get a pick again. It always comes down to what LGD can do in a situation like this. And the Skana needs to prop the Righteous Glory. The Predator, Impale is up and available. WE moving in between the skirt division, and this is where it gets dangerous for them.
Yeah, not going to ask the question about what happened to his ultimate. He definitely has it up for the next fight, so let's see how he uses it.
There's the ult available. He launches it down, finds one. Yuuki's dead. Package used. WE want to end the series here as Missing finally ults onto Garvey, but the rest of LGD have been taken up. Bodyman exploded, and Kramer now ulted on top of as well. Look at who's left remaining, and look at what WE want to do.
The later the game goes, the stronger WE is, and it was a double-edged sword hysterics. We were talking about the great tank shredding that came out from LGD because of the double ADC. The downside, if either of them get locked up by the Sedge ultimate, they just die.
I mean, WE now moving towards the Baron. The Sejuani ultimate half cooldown available. Post with the barrel set up once again, the same spot, trying to zone them away. 3 versus 5. Can LGD do this? Garvey with the Vanguard's edge, but he's been tagged down. This time they'll turn for the fight. This time Garvey won't have all the room in the world. And WE get another kill, and it's back to the Baron.
It's a trap. Hysterics. That wasn't a doing Baron, that was a baiting Baron, and it baited Garvey straight into them.
This time they're not even going to get tapped. The 2 members in the mid lane, they go, let's get the double mountain and hope for the best. Because WE have a gold lead, a significant one with Baron in hand.
Gold lead, Baron buff, and with the extra gold that the Baron gave him as well, now they are primed for Baron lead down. Don't forget, double Infernal to their name as well. While they did give up the next mountain, it's inconsequential in terms of the siege that they are now going to be laying down.
We'll see how far it can go there from WE then, because at the moment there are a lot of inner turrets available across the map. There is no access to the base just yet. It's about how WE set up these waves, because you've got a Gangplank, a Corki, an easy 1-3-1 if you like. And xiye with teleport, he's going to go back to get some mana to get his Mercurial Scimitar, his 4th item, and head back to the wave.
This is going to be easy for WE, of course. They wanted to go for Kramer. In the end, hits Yuuki. It's still an ADC, and it's still dead. Why do we get a replay
of that one? Where's my Skana replay?
I mean, you wanted to see it. This is not what you wanted to see.
I've been asking for it for 4 minutes. What's that crying baby emote on Twitch?
Which one do you want?
What do you mean, which one? There's only one.
You're going to have to fill me in on this one, Hysterics. You've been a crying baby more.
Yeah, you use Mixer or something, do you?
No, I'm not a Mixer.
Did you go over and ninja with the Mixer? You're like, all right, I better go too.
Not quite. LPL's not there yet.
Yeah. We're going to Mixer. And WE might be going to a 2-0 finish. Bodyman actually caught out. Not good. Impale burn. But xiye hits like a 2-ton truck.
That is not what you want to see. Every single time Bademan is trying to use his ultimate onto beishang. Why? Because he doesn't have QSS. He wants to be pulled. It's a Sejuani. The more you move her into your team, the better it is for her.
Oh, good cannon barrage on Nagavi as well. Look at Mystic trying to take the fight with 4 members in front. The teleport coming through as well. This is going to be big. Daddy Post, who flashes over the wall, survives. Great positioning as he doesn't get burnt down with the ulti from Tristana. And that's all you need from WE as another triple goes over to xiye. And that, frankly, is going to be the game to follow soon.
Divide and conquer. LGD, they went way too gung-ho, tried to find a pick. Once the Baron buff was down onto WE, wasn't meant to be. beishang kills him back. WE kill LGD.
A much more competitive game from LGD, but WE, their road to playoffs is set up. They've got the hero story, first against IG, now against LGD. The road goes on.
The slow roll downhill has accelerated Hysterics. This is what happens. They now look unstoppable ever since their last victory. Defeating LGD 2-0 right now in beautiful fashion. That's what we love to see.
A series which WE can look back and say, all right, how do we get this game accelerated? What is the performance review of beishang and Post? And I would say, in that series, Post, not bad. beishang had some stellar moments.
Yeah, when you take a look at how WE wanted to play the game, there was almost a question in the back of your mind that said, this is a very late game centered team. Of course, the early game is there because Sejuani can synergize partially with the Gangplank in the top lane, but the fact that very few kills happened before the 15-minute mark ultimately enabled WE to get the items and to get the damage. And by the end, even though that Gangplank was put slightly back, Post could still 1v1.
Well, I think the hero of this game would be xiye. I'd put xiye up there, Mystic as the Kai'Sa Brom lane, really took off. Mystic had a great series, and that's what you want to see if you're a WE fan of old. You want to see the highlight players in xiye and Mystic play to their best. Show us a playoff-ready WE. And that's what we kind of got in this series.
Yeah, it wasn't really put back in the laning phase either, Hysterics. You normally see LGD, because they focus so much in the early game vision, they wanted to influence the lanes. Sure, they actually disabled beishang from interfering with the lanes, but over on the other side as well, Bademan never managed to have a good impact. I'm going to say it right now, Bademan didn't really have a good ultimate inside of that game, and that Skana, despite the fact that it had great synergy with the Karma, was for naught.
I'll say he had one. I'm still curious about what happened in that play, but you're right. For Bademan, really good early game until the point where you get 6 and beishang was more impactful. Just goes to show you for LGD, their last stand, that was it. And from here, they may not be technically out, but for them to make playoffs is near impossible.
And I actually really like the Sejuani specifically into LGD because we saw that it was always the Corki that was picked up by WE. Great response from LGD to pick out the Tristana. What happens in the end? You have 2 ADCs. How do you counter an ADC? By locking them up with any sort of CC at all. That Tristana got hit by the Sejuani ultimate, immediately died.
I mean, Tristana into Corki, there's a lot to talk about in this matchup and how it actually goes, how we feel about it, because I know that Tristana into Corki looks really good in the early laning phase, but xiye just got away with it 2 games in a row there, where he comes out in the mid game and he is stronger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say too much about his back timings because, of course, he was still set back. That's obviously the power of Tristana, but he managed to get to his spikes. That's the point, and he didn't die inside of his lane. And the CS was actually quite neutral for his mid lane, so he played that Corki as well as he possibly could have. And once again, you go back to the grouping factor, you go back to the fact that there's 2 people in the back lane, realistically 3, let's just say, because of course the Karma there as well. And if Sejuani caught out any of them, they could just collapse and get a kill. That's exactly what happened.
beishang and Post, you know, if we're talking about beishang and jungle influence, also need to talk about the Gangplank once again and talk about how big that ult really is. How good Gangplank's ult is for setting up plays. And the bottom lane there, like xiye was a tentative, beishang there too, it was a 4-man dive towards the bottom lane. And a fight that every time for WE, they know how to set up. They know how to play around. It's like watching, I guess it's like watching, like in essence, like RNG of old, or what's another team that really plays around the bottom lane at the moment that really sets up? FPX is a great example there, where you see the Gangplank top, and it's like having all 5 members bot.
Exodia comp. That's what you wanted to see.
Okay,
but
sure.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to take one step back, and I'm going to say that it was really good because it actually disabled Bademan from having that much of an impact. Because we could say that he didn't have any great Skana ultimates, but realistically, it was because missing drafted that Braum, which will always disable into the bottom lane. Just slow him down even with the Karma on the other side. You've got the Gangplank ultimate. Everybody is slow in that area, and slows are pretty much the counter of Skarner, and we saw him being countered.
I mean, Skarner, look, we don't see much in the LPL. Doesn't matter if it's 60% win rate. For Bademan, I think the look was fine in the early game. It just got to a point where he got out-rotated. And props to LGD in that early game of Game 2. The scouting with vision was exceptional. But where did that lead them? What did that enable them? What did they get off the back of it? Didn't feel like there was a response from LGD with all the work that was put into the early vision
It's
game.
all superfluous, right? So we saw on the bottom side before level 2 even happened that the Vayne disabled us, the early kill that was potentially looking on by WE's bottom lane because Sejuani started on the top side. But yeah, in the end, even though that vision was great and even though they had a lot of knowledge in terms of the Sejuani's pathing, they didn't really capitalize onto it.
Well, Sejuani ended the day for beishang 2 games in a row, still 2 games well played. If I'm giving an MVP to this game, I would probably xiye.
Yeah, just because he came out of the lane alive into a counter matchup.
I think xiye is just a great Corki, and I know Corki is a boring champion. I agree, ladies and gentlemen, I agree. But xiye's Corki is exceptional.
And the fact that he managed to also cut people down with his package as well, that is underrated. I mean, we usually see packages burn just because, you know, it times out and there wasn't a good play to be seen. But xiye's are actually really good. Yeah,
xiye's package is good. And it's good also to see, I will say as well, for someone like Yuuki, it's good to see him explore the matchup of Tristana, because we saw Yuuki on Tristana. It was the Azir, it was the, you know, boring back and forth matchup. We got a little bit more excitement in this series, but we have another exciting series moving forward. IGBLG are coming up right after this. We'll have a short break, then return